Today we got Wade Matthews. Wade, welcome to the show.
Howdy. Super happy to be here. Thanks for
How
having
do
me.
you feel about being the first guest on Covers Others
Dude.
Stars Align?
Super honored. So much fun.
That's
I'm excited.
awesome. So let's just jump right into it. You said a big influence of yours off air was Eminem.
Yes. One day, my skin will grow thin from the days that left you behind. And creases will outline my features that you once thought fine, and my brow will hold a line for you. And when I've done all my thinking, I reckon that I'll give you a reason that fits my own needing. Staying is oftentimes much harder than leaving. And you're nowhere near me. You've long since left, but our souls are still intertwined. Some odd years, it'll be as I fear. You're still buried deep in my mind. And some odd years, dear, it'll be as I fear. You're still buried deep, deep in my mind. How's it going, love? Are you stuck in the past, thinking about what we could have done? Are you still driving fast down that freeway like you did with me? Hey. Do you still got our diamond ring in that dresser drawer? And when you're kissing him, do you think of me? Or does it kind of sting the way that it does me? Well, it kind of stings. Well, I hope you find your Colorado sky in someone else. When you look into their eyes, you never looked in mine. Well, I bet you're doing fine out there in Austin. Well, I'm in misery, thinking about all we lost. The years we'll never see. Well, I bet in a century you'll still be somehow a part of me. You. Somehow a part of me. Well, how you doing, love? 'Cause I'm stuck in the past, thinking about what I could have done, and it just drives me mad. It really makes me sad. Hell, I wish I wasn't that. Now listen. Well, you gave Colorado just to be with me. Now you lost both lifelong dreams, and all you get is this fucking stupid song that I sing. For what it's worth, well, I hope you find your Colorado sky in someone else. When you look into their eyes, you never looked in mine. Well, I bet you're doing fine out there in Austin. Well, I'm in misery, thinking about all we lost. The years we'll never see. Well, I bet in a century you'll still be somehow a part of me. Somehow a part of me. Oh, 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 oh. Well, I hope you find your Colorado sky in someone else. When you look into their eyes, you never looked in mine. Well, I bet you're doing fine out there in Austin. Well, I'm in misery, thinking about all we lost. The years we'll never see. Well, I bet in a century you'll still be somehow part of me.
Yeah. Yeah, when I was a kid, I had a really angsty phase going through like tough family life, and all I listened to was Eminem almost exclusively, probably from like 13 to 17. That's like all I listened to, and that's really kind of what got me into lyrics, as I've always loved lyrics, and like kind of what got me into music in general is lyrics and being able to explain emotions, like complex emotions, really beautifully put. And if you do that just in like a poem or just talking to someone, it's kind of trauma dumping. But if you can put it to some chords, for some reason, it's like socially acceptable. And so,
So that kind of touched on what I was like thinking. So like hearing Colorado Sky, like how do you get from like hearing, the sound of Eminem to this folk sound that you have?
yeah, that's I mean, so a longer story, but so from Eminem with all those lyrics, so that's kind of, like I said, that's how I got into music, and writing is just constantly listening to those words, and a lot of rap, a lot of Eminem, and then it slowly got into I just wanted to write music, and I even started like writing raps first. That was kind of the first thing that I did, and I realized that that's not my voice didn't convey raps well, and with what I was singing about was breakup songs and being cheated on, and so that was not I didn't have rap didn't really fit that. So I started after Eminem, and I started getting into like Ed Sheeran and Louis Capaldi, and that's kind of like kind of the folk artist, and that resonated with me more and kind of where I was at.
So that's something I've been thinking about with a lot of just music in general. When I see poets, and no shame to poetry or poets, but I always see poetry. I'm like, why don't you just like add a melody to it?
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's like, why don't you just add a melody to it? Because you have a song there.
Yeah.
But if you want poetry to kind of exist, kind of like with rap, it's like, I mean, I know there's a beat and stuff, but like if you want poetry to exist in its own right, I guess so. But I've always found that interesting. And you kind of touched on that, like how you kind of transition from poetry to, I guess that's the pipeline, poetry to rap, to music, or not music, but just lyricism.
Yeah, lyricism. That with poetry, it's kind of funny because I've always liked the idea of poetry and being able to kind of have some sort of spoken word something, and that's actually the thing that inspired Colorado Sky, and where I wrote it from was a poem, one of the very few poems that I wrote, but I wrote a poem, and I put that as the intro of my first album because it goes the poem, which is intertwined, and then Colorado Sky, and they bleed into each other, and that poem that I wrote is kind of the intro to that.
So that's kind of what gravitated me towards covering this song. Was I feel like a lot of breakup songs, and that's what this is a breakup song.
Yeah.
Have a lot of vitriol and vindictiveness to it, but this seems kind of, I mean, it's very fast tempo. Mm-hmm. It's in a, it's in key of E, so it sounds happier, but I mean, obviously it's about a breakup, so it can only be so happy. But I guess what I'm getting at is it's a very amicable, like, literally you say in the song, I hope you're doing fine in Austin.
Yeah.
But that's really what gravitated me towards is you rarely hear about the civil breakup.
Yeah.
Like the amicable-ish breakup. And it's always like, I hope you're like doing awful.
I hope you're doing awful in Austin. Screw you. Get out of here.
But like, no, there's a sense of genuineness to this song.
Yeah. I mean, so I guess just go through the story, kind of the song and how I wrote it. I was dating a girl in Austin, and it just didn't work out, and it was one of those things. It was a really quick thing. It kind of reached a moment of it was really toxic. It didn't work out, and so it was a quick break. And after we broke up, I always throw myself whenever I'm dealing with emotional anything. I kind of throw myself into something physical, and like I love traveling and I love like rock climbing and doing extreme sports and that. So as soon as we broke up, I took a trip to Switzerland to go visit one of my buddies. And we went over there and we climbed this really cool like 1,300 foot cliff over there, just trying to get over get over her. And I took a trip to France while I was there, and as I was kind of walking, because it was a solo trip that I went to France after I saw my buddy. And so I was kind of reflecting on everything, and I was walking down a street in Lyon, and I saw this really old guy just walking down a street, no wedding ring, just kind of alone. And I thought about what that would be, obviously getting out of a serious relationship. You always think like, well, am I going to be able to find someone else? Is that something that's going to happen? And I had this idea of like, well, what if I'm 80 and I'm still like caught up with feelings that I have for this girl, or like, what if I'm always sad about it? Like, what if I never get over it? And so as I was walking down the street, it's like in my notes app and my voice memos, I was writing out the poem for it. And there's a line in the poem that goes like, creases will outline my features that you once thought fine, and my brow will always hold the line for you. And that was kind of after seeing this old guy. And that's where Colorado Sky kind of came from, because I liked that poem a lot. I liked that verse. I tried turning it into a song, and it never really, those exact lyrics never turned into a song. But that idea of always being stuck on someone and wanting the best for them
Yeah.
that kind of stuck.
That's really powerful. There's a lot of people say, oh, there's a sense of place with the song. Quite literally, geographically, there's a lot of sense of place, because you're from New Mexico.
Yeah.
And you're in France writing this song about a girl that's in Austin, and now
Yeah.
you're in DFW. So there's sort of
Yeah.
it's kind of all over the place, but also still very like cohesive.
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah, and to try to like bring it all together, because there's a lot of bouncing around there. So that's kind of the headspace that I was at. This person that I was with, the whole reason behind Colorado Sky is whenever we first started dating, she had this option to, it was basically like either spend a summer with me and like maybe it'll, things will work out and we'll get married, we'll have kids, like the whole thing, like we'll figure it out, we'll get a summer. Because after the summer we were going to move and kind of go our separate ways, but I'm like, well, maybe long distance would be worth it, but we kind of need the summer to figure it out. And so she was like, yeah, let's it was between that or doing something that she had always wanted to do, which was go to Colorado and spend a summer in Colorado doing some stuff that she liked to do. And she chose to stay, and I was thrilled about that, and that would have been great. But that was one thing, like through the relationship, that was always like a sore spot. And yeah
That's kind of what you asked me about the song. Is that what I gravitated towards about it?
Yeah, I'm
So-
super interested.
I feel like everyone watching this or listening has either been through a breakup, or at least, if for nothing else, heard a breakup song. And like I said earlier, usually breakup songs are very vindictive, and this is more like amicable. Like, you don't hear this breakup song like, I hope you're doing all right.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you don't hear that often. So I guess that was kind of something. There's a line in the song where you say, you gave Colorado just to be with me, and now you lost both lifelong dreams. At first I thought that was kind of like harsh, intense, but then I realized that it's not cynical or pessimistic, or like hateful or blamey.
Yeah.
There's a sense of realism to that, because I feel like a lot of relationships that's just like what it is. And like you said, it's incredibly situational.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's kind of a nuance you tackle with this song that made me gravitate towards it, is that there's a lot of, like I said, nuance of like some things that's not anyone's particular fault. It's just, you kind of, and you took a chance, like it didn't land.
Yeah.
But like, I think that's the beauty of life is that, the proverbial, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, that sort of thing. So like, I think there's a beauty in that, like, taking a chance in life, and that's what life is about, is living and taking those chances. And it doesn't have that perfect bow at the end.
Yeah.
That perfect gift wrap bow, but there is that idea of like, I took a chance. I think that was really beautiful.
Yeah, that was kind of the the headspace, like after I got back from that trip to France and Switzerland. Is it did help me kind of think through a lot of those emotions. And I remember whenever I was writing that song, it was about that, because at the end of the relationship, I also found out that there were kind of some people that she was talking to and that kind of thing. And so as soon as I was back and still been out of shape over everything, it was one of those, like, as a person you can't stay cynical and you can't just stay mad or angry at someone forever. And I really do, like, I just, in general with people, I just wish the best for them. And so that was one thing that got me, though, is I always try to take every opportunity that comes my way. I'm like, I see a lot of good potential and so many different opportunities. And so with that one, that was one of it, that line particularly, like that was kind of one thing. And why I wrote that was, is kind of conveying that sometimes in relationships, and especially this one, it's like, it's a whole give and a take and a push and a pull. And whenever it pans out, it just sucks, because you make some decisions and hope that they're going to work out, and it could lead to something really awesome. I mean, picture perfect, grow old till you're 80. That's everything you ever wanted. Or you kind of lose out on on everything. So that was one thing. Just being back in that mindset is what I do. I try to put myself in other people's shoes. And so I was thinking, while I was writing that, I was thinking about where I was at and my headspace. And I think if you listen to the song, you can hear that a lot of, like, I'm thinking where I'm at in my headspace, and then trying to think what she's up to and how she's doing, and then realizing, like, it sucks for me because things didn't work out, but there's plenty of reasons why it sucks for her, and it's just a bad situation. And that's where my songs come from a lot of times, or just
situationally.
So many, whenever you have emotions that you can't do anything with, because it's just like, it's just there.
There's a lot of life that is very circumstantial.
Yeah.
So I think that's, like I said, I think that was really what resonated with me about the song. It's always like these songs break up, love songs, whatever. It's they're doing this or you're doing that, or it's their fault, or but like, that's not a nuance that's tackled very often. It's just like this idea of circumstance.
Yeah.
I thought that was really powerful.
It's super circumstantial. And I played it with a heavy tempo, but that's what was really cool whenever I got to hear you cover it, because you covered it and you used the slower sad chords, which most of my songs, they're slower and sad. That's like one of the faster, more upbeat songs that I have. And I honestly, before you did that, I'd listened to that song so many times. I had never really heard it and like listened to it and been like, damn, that's actually really sad. I always thought it was kind of tongue in cheek, like kind of a funny, sarcastic, like, like just a sarcastic, like, you trade Colorado just to be with me. Now you lost both lifelong dreams. But whenever you slowed it down and sang it sad, it made me do that actually. Like whenever I heard that, I went to my piano and I'm like, let's get these sad chords in here and sing that. I'm like, holy crap, yeah.
For what's worth.
Yeah.
For what it's worth.
I didn't mean to bring like a sad perspective of the song, but more of, and again, I feel like, with covers, there's a certain delicacy to them. I'll ask you, I guess I can ask you this now, but like, what resonates with you more is like kind of, because obviously like there's a certain delicacy in the lyrics, but also the mood evoked in the song. And I try to balance, with especially your song, I tried to balance that line. I'm like, I'm literally just going to like change the tempo, because I know I'm kind of all over the place right now. I know I don't have a skin in the game of your past relationship, but it was interesting that, because I could definitely tell this is like kind of a guy that in a very like raw place, and he's spilling his guts and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I thought from the perspective of someone maybe where you're at more at now, where it's like you kind of let the relationship kind of simmer and think about it and like processed it. And I wanted to bring more of like a matter of fact
Yeah.
perspective, like almost like kind of you're looking at the relationship. You know, there's two different ways to look at it, like fresh off the cuff of it, but also like, you know, there's that like. And again, forgive me if this sounds like I'm trying to like live vicariously or
no,
nothing
good.
like that. But I think there's this interesting like dynamic of like there's two different versions, and I think any relationship really where right after it ends, you know, you're spilling your guts, and I think you really did articulate, and that's such a hard thing to do, especially with relationships, articulate the exact emotion you were feeling. Suffice it to say, emotions are so abstract.
Yeah.
I just wanted to take those lyrics and just take them from a more raw, like spilling your guts place to a kind of more like it is what it is, matter of fact kind of place. And that's really all I wanted to do
Yeah.
with the song, and not necessarily make it sadder, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, what you were talking about there, that's one of the reasons that I ever got into music or like started music is because I always had a hard time relating to people or feeling like people could understand like what I was feeling or like how I was coming across. I always like felt like that was really hard for me. Like I would try to talk to people. I'm like, I don't really think that they understand how I feel. And so that was, you know, one of the big reasons that I tried to write music, because I realized if I sat there for a while and I could write out lyrics and I could write out these chords you could put all these nuanced emotions into a song, and then I could sing it to people. And that was the one, like with music, honestly, and I'm sure this is a lot of reasons why a lot of people write music, definitely not unique to me, but it was something that I figured out. I'm like, wow, I can actually feel understood through this and like have someone else relate to. I can play it and they feel the emotion from it and they have their own takes and the reason like why it means something to them. And that's kind of one of my favorite things about writing and why I ever did it is it was, you know, first off to process emotion, and then after that it's like being able to share that with people and have them understand where I was coming from and what I was feeling and seeing how it makes them feel and just kind of feeling understood through that shared emotion of whatever maybe their own life experiences were.
Do you think, off that note, do you think rhyme schemes and rhyming words together helps you like, oh, this word rhymes with this word, and they kind of share a commonality, like a common theme? Do you think kind of helps you articulate that headspace and like kind of give structure to like what's going on
Yeah.
in your life?
Yeah, you know, that is ever since, like I said, ever since I was probably 16, I've tried to write about different things I was going through, and it's something like songwriting is a constant process for me. Like I've written, you know, way over 70 songs, but 70 songs that I'm like, these are complete songs, just because I'll go through life and I'll have this, you know, just whatever's going on, and I need a way to categorize it because or else my brain's just jumbled and I have all these emotions. Like I said, I feel like in life, for me at least, I think for a lot of people, is you get to this point where you have so many hard things that happen to you or good things, and there's just a lot of emotion that you don't know what to do with or like categorize, and you need an outlet. And it was just a way for me that I could place it like in a box is through rhyming, because it does, like, you work through it because you have to sit with it, and you have to sit for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour, sometimes day, coming up with like, well, if I rhyme, you know, this word with this word and this chord, then that really shows this emotion that I'm trying to get across. So yeah, you definitely have to sit with it. Helps me sort through those for sure. That was one of the things I think hearing some of your songs and like and your lyrics has been cool too. Like Gold Rush was one that I listened to, and that was something that I've never been able to write about. Like all my songs that I've written about, they're all, you know, some sad heartbreak songs. I have a couple like happier ones, or you know, just some about some unique stories, but I've never been able to write about what I feel like Gold Rush was about, which was like sitting feeling like so much going, or at least what I took from it was like just feeling like so much is going on and having to, like, you're just wasting time through all of that, but you feel like the world's kind of moving super fast around you.
So I guess the sentiment of that is the first line of the song is "I'm lost in it."
Yeah.
And I didn't want the song to be dated. But having said that, it started with this idea of, again, pure brain rot, I'm lost in the sauce.
Yeah.
Like, that really was the theme of, like, this idea of, like, the rat race, and you can get so, like, hyper fixated and, dare I say, like, lustful of, like, all the other stuff that, like, life has, theoretically, it can't even be real. It could be a pipe dream.
Yeah.
Like, to offer. But then it's like, that song, again, was cathartic in a way that, like, helps you ground yourself, the people around you that you love and care about. And, like, it's like all the other stuff is so trivial. And it was supposed to be, like, kind of inspiring. Like, one of my more inspirational, like, I don't want to say upbeat, but, like, positive songs.
Yeah.
Someone walked up to me at an open mic and they said, "That is the saddest song I've ever heard in my life." It was just interesting. And it's weird because it's like, it did kind of hurt a little because it's like you want to articulate. And it has happened where you know, I've written a song, you've probably written a song where it's like, you know, you hit the nail on the head. People come up to you. It's like, I feel this, like, verbatim, word for word.
Yeah.
The exact, like, emotion you're trying to convey. And
Yeah.
then there's other songs where you feel like you just, like, nailed it. And then other people are like, they don't necessarily dislike the song. And you're like, okay, that's definitely a different take on it than I was going for, but
Yeah.
it happens.
With songwriting, is it kind of the same for you? Is that one of the main reasons that you like to do it? Is that just emotional validation from?
A lot of songs, I'm trying to write happier, but a lot of my songwriting lyricism comes from a place of, like, I don't have, like, the worst life in the world,
Sure.
but, like, everyone has their problems. And it's like a lot of it comes from, like, coping, like, and just kind of almost like it's like self-therapy in a way. So, like, that's kind of what my songwriting process. I'm trying to write more, like, happier.
Yeah.
I sent you a song the other day. I was like, this is the happiest song I've written. And then it actually was, like, the saddest song I've
Just
written.
turned super
Just
sad.
so sad so quick.
Yeah.
And such an easy thing to, like, pitfall into.
Yeah.
Just, like, writing sad music.
I mean, I think it's really hard. It's something that I've, like, realized is anytime I've been happy, it's like, I don't really have to process this. It's like,
Right.
I'm
You
just
don't have to cope with being happy.
And then whenever you're trying to write songs, I mean, it's kind of funny, but, you know, it's hard to differentiate, like, suffering from self-reflection. In my mind, like, if you're just so focused on yourself all the time and, like, what you're going through, which you have to be to reflect, to write songs, it always will come out. I feel like in some way, shape, or form, a lot of times it's going to come out sad unless you're, like, really trying to find a silver lining in it.
So one of the songs I first started writing on my new project is called "No Autonomy." Someone actually played it out there.
Nice.
A group of people. Yeah. But, you know, you can trick yourself. A lot of lyrics can be kind of deceptive in a way, especially if you're writing sad stuff. It almost gives the, like, BoJack Horseman syndrome, where
Yeah.
you're like, this is making me feel better. And then you realize it's like, no, this is actually making me worse.
Yeah, this isn't good.
Yeah, but, like, you know, I have a song called "No Autonomy." It's exactly what it sounds like, where you're like, I feel like I have no, like, say over my life. And you write it, like, out of a way of, like, coping, like you feel just stuck.
Yeah.
But then it's like a self-fulfilled prophecy, and it, like, perpetuates upon itself. And so some of these songs that you write that are super sad, you almost have to, like, I'm not saying disassociate from them, but, like, take the power out of them.
Yeah.
Like, you can still enjoy it, and I still, like, resonate with it, but it's like, I'm not going to let this, like, it's like you sing the song and you're like, you're right, you don't have any autonomy over your life. It's like, that's a nice thing to think about. Thanks, brain.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah.
No, that's a cool thing to think about. But, like, honestly, you got to, like, be very, like, preemptive and proactive with your own, like like conscientious of like I'm not gonna let this song define me, especially when you write like sadder music, like because it can like again lead to a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like you're right, you don't have any control or whatever your like negative sentiment is. It can like really start to become self-deprecating.
Yeah.
In a way.
I think for me, whenever I write songs, a lot of times I think it's good to think about, or something that I definitely think about after I write them, but what the purpose of it is. I think it's good to have like an end goal in mind, or else I do find myself ruminating a lot over things. And so, so a lot of times it might just be catharsis or trying to just get this emotional feeling out, or sometimes it is I'll write a song in mind of being able to play it and hope that someone else relates to it. That was one of the most, I think, impactful moments to me when I was skinnier than I am now, 17. I was maybe 17 or 18, and I wrote a song about some stuff I was dealing with whenever I was going to college in Lubbock. And there's this open mic in Lubbock called the Blue Light, and they have an open mic every Monday. And there are some interesting characters that show up, and I remember just being this, beanpole 17, 18-year-old kid. I mean, I was dealing with some stuff, so I was writing about kind of my mind, like my mental state at the time, and I forgot what I think the lyric of the song that I wrote was something like, "What if all the hell I've been through never sees the light of day," or something similar to that. But I remember whatever the song was, after I sang it, I had this big biker dude, just looked like, crazy leather jacket, just textbook, and he came up to me and I'm like, "Oh no, I messed up. What did I do? I did something wrong." And he came up to me afterwards and he's like, "Can I give you a hug?" I'm like, "Absolutely." Yeah, and he was like, "I really appreciate you writing that." And that was the moment that it kind of clicked for me that, if you get it right, if you really are authentic and you're honest about what you're feeling and you put words to it properly, that it can connect with other people and make them feel seen and heard. And that's one of my favorite things on top of just writing music for myself, is if there's any shot that some of my songs can make somebody out there feel seen or heard or understood.
Yeah, that was, and especially like when I started doing like open mics when I moved down here from Oklahoma. But, I kind of jumped back and forth between Dallas and Fort Worth. And I was like, my music isn't quite like, pop or whatever, like for Dallas. And then I even like wrote a song to the point I was like, it doesn't quite land in Fort Worth. It doesn't quite land in Dallas. And it kind of gave me a bit of an identity crisis.
Yeah. Not
to the point I'm like, I'm going to stop what I'm doing or like, give it up. But it's just like, I don't know like where my market, where I land. And kind of like what you said with this biker, it's like, you never know. You could land with anyone. So at the risk of sounding cliche, like not just to you, but everyone at home, whoever's listening, keep doing what you're doing because you never truly know. And this isn't just a testament to music. This is just whatever your medium, whatever your art is, whatever you do, you don't know who it'll land with.
Yeah.
I was talking to someone who was helping me mix. He said, there's no such thing as, a bad sound.
Yeah.
Like with music, it's purely subjective. Mm-hmm. It might be, some people might like this, some people might like this. It could be the key, it could be the tempo. It's just, no pun intended, but the stars really do have to align, like really for what you want. And like you said, it's like, you walk in to this, like the Blue Light, 80 pounds sopping wet, and there's a bunch of bikers. You're like, oh, I don't know if this will really land, and then it does, and it's like you just did what you do, like, and it landed. It's not like, this isn't gonna be their thing, you know. So,
I think with anyone, it's something that I try to encourage people in, is just doing something artistic for an emotional outlet. I think it's super, super important. Like, even if you don't share it, because, not everyone obviously wants to get up on stage or wants to trauma dump to mass crowds and post it on Spotify and Instagram and 60-second clips to be ridiculed. But not everyone has the desire to do that. That's to each their own. Yeah, I know that's crazy, trauma dumping in short form content. But I think that it's just it's almost like an obligation to yourself to just share some of your life or what you're going through and see if it can help someone.
Oh man, and it's like once I'm kind of projecting a little bit, but like once you do find your brand, especially like creating content, where it's like there's no going back. You're like, it feels very true to yourself. You're like, this is me.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even have to be to the extent of like content creation on social media. It could be like whatever your sound is, whatever your art form, whatever your style is. It's like there's going to be people that don't like it. There's going to be people that do. And like I said, if it lands, it lands. And it feels very like cathartic in a way because it feels very genuine and true to yourself. Like, this might not be for everyone. I'm not going to get all the shows with this sound. I'm going to get some shows with the sound, but it's like, this is what I do, and it's true and genuine to me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's with art and something that's just incredibly important to me, which is hard. I mean, I never really thought about it, but the more that I'm like working on another album or performing in front of people or actually sharing some of these songs with people and getting to talk about them, it is interesting because it's always been incredibly important to me, and it can be a little nerve-wracking at times, but incredibly important to just be on the nose. It's just kind of me too, just on the nose, honest about everything that you went through, and not holding anything back about exactly how you feel, and being super truthful to yourself. And that's the stuff that I love. I love about art. And a lot of times that's what starts me writing a song or stops me from writing a song is, if it's authentic, then I'll keep writing it. I think that's one thing that I have a hard time with, like listening to others, because I love that so much. Like listening to some people that they try to like gimmick or write about something. That's the same reason, kind of to touch on it, that's why I didn't do rap music is because I'm like, well, this isn't like talk about finding the sound, is because me rapping is while entertaining, not the best way to get across what I feel.
Yeah, I feel like we both have very eclectic influences. Seriously, like you said, Eminem, Ed Sheeran. I mean, obviously those are kind of enough like very eclectic hodgepodge of different influences, but you don't have to sound like, I'm not saying it's you, I'm saying just in general, you don't have to sound like Ed Sheeran. You don't have to sound like Eminem. You can still like them in their own right.
Yeah.
I like Bleachers. I like a lot of indie pop, and your sound can be dynamic. Yeah. That's not where I'm at right now. That's not what I'm making. I mean, I like it, and I like it in its own right. And there's a lot of stuff in music where it's like, I love that they did that, but I'm not going to do that. I don't, I'm going to let me enjoying that exist in its own right. It doesn't have to be like, I have to be that.
Yeah. I think that's probably the healthiest way to look at it. I feel like I can definitely get caught up in hearing songs, and sometimes I have to just appreciate the song for what it's worth. And
for what it's worth.
And be like, all right, this is a great song. Because a lot of times I'm listening to it and I'm just analyzing like what they did and how they did it and like what makes this song so good. But I think that is like what you're saying. I think that's one of the most important things to do, especially nowadays, is just write something that's authentic and honest to who you are, and try to sound as much like yourself as you can.
Yeah. And not to bring a little world sickness into it, but I think though everyone was, in their house and whatnot, they started just, again, making stuff. Mm-hmm. And it didn't necessarily have to be a certain, again, I'm not just talking about music. It didn't have to be a certain, like, genre of art. They just made what they made. They're like, I'm locked indoors. I can't really do much else. So, like, I'm just going to make what I want to make. And then the doors started opening up back to the world, and basically it's like, well, I have this thing. I don't really know what to do with it. And it can be like, it can make you insecure because it's like you'll be like, well, I have this song now. I don't really know what genre it is, and I'm using 30 different hashtags to try and market it.
Yeah.
But it's just like, what? Who cares? Like, I'm trying to figure out what exactly, like, how to get this song out there, and I don't know if you ever heard, but like, social media, it's like, if you use over like 7 hashtags, and the algorithm will like consider you a bot. So it's like,
That's right.
so I have to like narrow myself to like 5 different topics
that's the
or 7
worst.
topics. It's like,
Yeah.
what do I do with that?
Yeah.
So, but it's like I'm just gonna make what I make, and sometimes I'll post the same song over and just use different topics,
Yeah.
just see how that goes. But I don't know. That was kind of a non sequitur.
I mean, yeah, the social media game, and how I feel like it's something that you always see posted online about some of the greatest artists in the world. Like, oh man, if you try to think of someone from Queen, I think they'd post a clip of Queen, and they're like, imagine telling this guy that he has to do
Yeah.
short form content.
Yeah, and then you see these people go like, Noah Khan. You see him go viral on TikTok, and it suddenly you get this like gambling mindset where you're like, I can do that. I can go viral.
Yeah.
And then you just keep posting and keep posting. It feels like you're playing the lottery. You're just like,
Yep.
and then you get like 10 likes, and you're like, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that really is, that's the name of the game now. It's tough. I don't know how to, I still trying to like navigate that, is just constantly posting and hoping that something kind of works out is interesting. But that's why, with my music, I've always tried to keep the mindset of, which it is true. Like whenever I wrote music, whenever I started, I sucked at singing. I feel like I've always liked lyrics, and I've always been able to state what I've felt fairly well, at least whenever I sit down and think about it for long enough. But I used to suck at singing. I used to suck at playing the guitar and all of it, and I started learning how to play the guitar and sing together and play the piano when I was, 18, around that age, like 17, 18. And the reason that I did it was for those emotions that I couldn't process, and I didn't even necessarily have to share it. And that's kind of where the main reason, like even if nothing blows up or nothing takes off and all I get are 10 likes on a TikTok, it was, I've always tried to keep that mindset of, at the end of the day, I'm writing it for me, and because I gotta process things and figure out how to get through life relatively okay.
Yeah, and I think, not just the emotional part of it, writing it for yourself, but also like, when you go, maybe not like actual shows, it's like, I'm going to do this impromptu. I've never practiced this before. But
Yeah.
like maybe more like an open mic, I think that is a good kind of training ground, so to speak, of like, because I feel like, speaking of personal experience, I go to these open mics every week, and I feel like I start to know these songs like the back of my hand. I get kind of bored with myself.
Yeah.
Like it starts to become kind of complacent. Like I'm sure you probably know Colorado Sky like the back of your hand, and you're just like, kind of like what you were saying, where you're like, I heard this version, now I kind of want to try this out and just see. That's really what you got to do. Like try it out on piano, try a slower tempo, try a different key, whatever, and just like, just see how it sounds. I mean, I'm not saying like, I guess I'm saying experiment a little just with your music, but I guess what I'm saying really is that like it's so easy to get like, especially a song so, naturally, it's so easy to get complacent with it.
Yeah.
And eventually you're like, I need to challenge myself, whether that be in writing or a new key or a new tempo, whatever, just give some freshness to the song. And that's kind of what I was going for with this whole thing right here, is basically give people a way to listen to it from a whole new perspective.
Yeah.
And that's really what I wanted to do with your song, and not an entirely new perspective, because I think, like I said earlier, covers are delicate, because if it's so far removed from the original cover, it's not even recognizable.
Yeah.
But if it's exactly the same, you're like, why am I listening to this?
Yep.
But I wanted, kind of, and I've been preaching this every Covers Others every time I'm promoting. I'm basically like, I want this to get weird. I want people to do entirely different genre to genre. I want, I don't feel like limited, like, oh, I'm folk, I have to do another folk song. Like, if you're, great example, I know I keep bringing it up, but if you're Eminem and you want to do Ed Sheeran, by all means, go for it. Because I feel like, you need to try new stuff all the time as an artist.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you have to switch around and do different stuff. That's kind of one of the things that I'm working on now is trying to pivot from focused on, because I've written about sad it's getting bad now. Like, I've written so many sad songs and about so much heartbreak that I can sit down in like 10 minutes and I can come up with something.
So I don't know how much you're at liberty to discuss, if you've
Yeah.
signed any NDAs or anything, but like, you kind of were talking about rebranding a little bit. You went to like a lake house recently. Is there much you can talk about?
Yeah.
With that, just and not just music, just the whole creative process of that.
Yeah, no, dude, I'm glad that you brought that up. So this is what I've been working on recently, and I'm super, super stoked about. I was actually kind of done with sharing music I was just kind of done with it. I was kind of losing a little bit of a desire for it. And I had really been praying and asking, like, is music something that I was asking God, like, is music something that you want me to do? Is this even something you want me to share? Because, like I said, I write it for myself, and I'll play these songs to myself and listen to the voice memos and annoy my friends and family with it, with the common heartbreak song here and there. But around that time, like probably a week after, you actually asked me to go to the open mic in Post.
Yeah.
That Post open mic, and the guy that came up to us afterwards, so he's a super, super talented like producer, and he came up and he's working on like his portfolio and wanting to produce music, and he just told me, he's like, dude, you have to do something, like you have to keep hearing it and you have to release these songs and put them out there. And he wanted to work on an album with me, and so we went through that. I played probably, I played him a good 20 some odd songs, and we picked probably 12 out of those songs that we wanted to record. And these past 2 months, it's been a crazy a whirlwind, because we're kind of both on a time crunch, because he might not be here. He might be leaving like Dallas or Fort Worth kind of beginning of the year. And so we've been on a huge time crunch, like getting this next album together, because it was something that, he really thought that, he's like, we got to get an album out, and it's just a crazy opportunity. So I'm like, all right, I'll do one more. So yeah, we went to, as part of this, because we're getting a whole album, and we're working on filming a lot of cool content for people to release over the next year.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really glad that we went to that night, because I myself know the feeling of, for lack of a better word, burnout with music. And it's just like, you kind of do start to dislike it. And it's not just like, why am I doing this? And you start to kind of get this like identity crisis. So just like, what is this? What is this all for? And it sucks. It's a horrible feeling. And, I'm sure, I'm not just speaking for myself. A lot of us have multiple passions in life, and at some point or another, maybe they overlap. Maybe, there's been times where it's like, I'm just burnt out of it. I'm just kind of, I'm just tired. I just kind of want, and, it is healthy to some degree of like, I need to decompress, but also like there's that unhealthy degree of like why am I doing this? And so I'm really happy that kind of I'm not saying like, oh, I'm directly responsible, but like
Yeah.
us going to the open mic, I'm glad that could happen for you.
Yeah.
That kind of rekindled the flame of your love for music. So
Yeah, that was a big, just having someone else hear it, that same kind of thing, someone else hear it, and having people. There's one of the things that's like really cool about this and hearing other people cover your music is just people that are inspired by it, and
yeah,
that is really encouraging and uplifting. And so to have him do that and like work on this project has been a really cool. It's been super super cool, and it has brought up like writing so many sad songs, like thinking about, what's the next, like if this works out and I like this album does well, what I gotta write about next. And so it's been something that I've been thinking about, is trying to find that next thing, so I don't release another 20 sad songs.
So I kind of don't want to, again, if you're kind of at liberty, talk about too
Yeah,
much what
no,
happened.
yeah, absolutely.
The lake house, but like you said, you're kind of on a time crunch. Did this help your kind of process of like, you said you're kind of feeling burnout. Did this help this process of like writing, or was this kind of?
Yeah, well, it did, in the sense that it felt like I had to like really jump at the opportunity, because it was
Now or never?
yeah, like I'm never, like realistically, if I didn't take this one, maybe something forever from now may have come up, but it was just a really unique opportunity to have someone that likes your music, that you work well with, that has, different connections to studios, that wants you to like help you record an album and market it. It's just like so many
That just believes in you.
that
Really.
that just believes in you. It's just a crazy, it's been a crazy kind of experience doing all that, because I am like, I don't know when I'd ever get that opportunity again to have this album put together the way that it is, and like everything that we're doing on it. That's the other thing. My first album, I went in and I went to one of the studios here, and I just recorded it, and it was a classic, like, he's a guy clocking in, and he's like, I'm gonna record this guy today, and it was
Have
me.
a paycheck.
Yeah, have a paycheck, and I'm like, well, I think I want it to sound like this, and you get an okay album for the recording. Like, I think the first album, the songs are really good. At the very least, the songs are incredibly honest, and it was just vocals and a guitar. There's like a piano and 2 or 3 of the songs, but very, very stripped back album. And what's been really cool with the opportunity that this has been is, in the past year, because it's been a year since I've released my album. Like, I released my last album January 26th of last year, and now I've written 20 or 30 songs since then, and to get the best 12 out of those, like they are legitimately just better songs. Like I really love them, and they really do categorize exactly what's happened in my life in the past 2 years really well. But with this opportunity, one of the things that's given me that kind of passion back into it is we've gotten to play, like, just go to these really awesome studios and have really awesome equipment recording the music so it sounds incredibly professional, and have these really talented artists come and put their craft that they've like put their life into, and they put it on the track as just like a piece of it. And that's one thing that I always found fascinating, because I have like my older brother, he's always played electric guitar, and he's super 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 talented at it. And to have this song that's just me and an acoustic guitar and a voice, and then have someone else come onto it and add their electric guitar part that like brings it to life, and getting to just collaborate with people. Like, I had someone that last night, actually, we were in the studio and I recorded. There was someone that I knew that played violin, that spent their whole life playing violin, like loved it. She loved it ever since she was 4 and went to college for it, and she got to add her piece onto it. And I get super, super nerdy about it, but it really has been a cathartic thing. That's been a lot of passion, because just to hear it's really made me see that whenever you write a song, if you're working on releasing it and you get the opportunity to work on it with artists, it's not about you. It's like it starts becoming, the song kind of starts becoming a piece of everyone. And that's just been, that's definitely given me a lot of passion for it.
I think that's a difficult thing as a musician because we write about life experiences. And it's not like a business in the sense of like, oh, I'm just going to rebrand now. Like, the business, you create a brand and they expect that brand of you, and then you have to keep that brand consistent. It's like if you might be in a sad place in your life, and you constantly write sad music. And it's like, well, now, in a sense, it is a brand, but like now people expect sad music from you, and it's like, I don't want that. I'm in a better place.
Yeah.
I want to write about better life experience, more positive life. God forbid, like I want to write about positive life experiences.
Yeah.
And I think, why is that such a hard transition, like, to navigate of, like, I want to go from sad music to happy music because I was in a sad place and now I'm in a happy place. It's like, that sounds so simple.
Yeah.
But, like, people expect, oh, you wrote sad music and I really like that. And it's like, you're not, it's like, you sell out, you're happy now?
You're happy now? Get out of here. I want the sad music back. Which, absolutely, there are people like that.
But do you find, that you're trying to rebrand in a way?
Yeah, I honestly don't know if I would necessarily consider it rebranding. It's just, I tell stories about my life and how it is, and if I'm sad for another 10 years, then it's going to be another 10 years of sad music.
You don't want that.
Yeah, I don't want that, and so it's like that. It's kind of twofold for me because I see it as I've written, 70 some odd sad songs, and I'm working on, and I'm realizing that it's like, wow, this has been 20, 24 years of a lot of sad experiences that I've had to culminate, and just looking at what it takes to change that and shift it and write about some happier things. That's actually, tentatively and I'm like kind of worried about saying it, but tentatively the album name that we're coming up with, or that I came up with, because I'm doing another intro poem to the album, and I in the poem I said this thing, and so the album name that I came up with is Bitter Nights and Hopeful Days, and hopefully the first release is going to be these 12 sad songs, and then I'll be able to release kind of an extended version of it if that does well, of writing about what helped me get through all of that.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing with me is I don't like to just write about, my music is sad, but I'm like, I'm not just going to write about the void, the never-ending void. It's like, especially the newer stuff I wrote, it's like, it's almost like the thing where you have to first acknowledge you have a problem. It's like, I'm in this place. And then I write with the intent of like a silver lining, like, but you're getting here.
Yeah.
So that but I feel like, the more pessimistic side can tend to focus on like, but you're stuck in this place. Mm-hmm. Even when you're writing like the more like, but you're trying to get here. So it really can it's all about a headspace, a mindset of like, if you're writing with a silver lining in mind, it's like, you can focus on that silver lining. Like I was saying earlier, it's like, you write these sad songs, it's like, don't let them define you, because then it just becomes a self-fulfilled prophecy. It's like, take the power out of them. They can still be relevant to you, and they were a point that you were, they were a big part of your life. Like, that was a big moment in time in your life, but it's like, that isn't my life right now. So don't let it define you, but still resonate with it. Yeah. I think that's a balancing act.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's also, it's fun because with that, like what you're describing, is there's a huge analogy through, and I think it's one of the biggest benefits about art that is really true to yourself and authentic to who you are, telling stories about things that you went through, is through that process. It's like, really what I'm doing is I'm looking at it and I'm like, man, this is sad. Like, we gotta fix some things. And so in nature of trying to see art in the world and trying to create happier art, you try to see the world in different ways, or at least I do. And that's been, that's one of the coolest things for me about why I love, one of the many reasons I love music, but just the reflection on it. And you do really look back, and like I said, it's cathartic to listen to all these songs that I wrote and hear them super awesomely recorded, and hear that. And then I hear the lyrics, and I'm like, dang, this has been a rough 2 years. Like, we got to switch. We got to switch something
Change
up.
lanes, yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of changing lanes, you recently wrote a song that kind of bookended a certain chapter of your life called Dopamine.
Yeah.
And again, I don't want to put words in your mouth. Forgive me.
No,
I am,
you're
but,
good.
You recently wrote a song called Dopamine, where it was about the relationship, the Colorado Sky relationship. And it wasn't, if you want to say it was disrespect to Austin,
Yeah.
like,
I'll throw some shade to Austin.
but
Not you, but.
No, the city, yeah. And you were just like, you know what, man, like, if you want to explain the situation that happened, but
Yeah.
it's just an interesting bookend because it kind of was like an allegory. I saw it as an allegory. I don't know if you wrote with that intent, but
Yeah.
I saw it as an allegory for, like, you know what, man, I'm done.
Yep.
Like, I can't do this anymore. Like, and I feel like that's why I try to write a lot, is like transcends beyond the exact experience I'm going through, and it's more accessible to the masses of, like, this is what a lot of people are going through. And it doesn't have to be a specific moment in your life, but just like I said with your song Dopamine, you're just like, man, I can't do this anymore. It doesn't have to be like a relationship or whatever. You're just like, I'm done.
Yeah.
Like, I think a lot of people have some moment, some capacity, again, beyond a relationship, but just jobs, whatever. They're just like, I'm done, man.
Yeah.
But like, I think that was a very natural, like, kind of book into that chapter.
Yeah, I think it's close to the last song that I've written for the album, and it does close up things nicely, because even chronologically, that's also the cool thing about the album that I'll be releasing next year is chronologically it all fits well, and I love the art of an album, of having a album being able to listen and hear a story the whole way through. And I think you can, and this one that I'm writing. And so and that trip, so that had been maybe a couple months or a year. That had been a year. It had been at least a year since I had been living in Austin. And I always try to find the silver lining, and I'm an optimist. I love trying to find why something's good and trying to enjoy it. Every time after I broke up with that girl, every time that I went back through Austin, something terrible would happen, or just like annoying, like something bad, like something equivalent to they'd get your coffee order wrong, or like you can't ever find a place to park.
Straw that broke the camel's back, sort of.
Yeah, and so I was visiting a friend in Corpus Christi, and you have from Fort Worth to Corpus, you have to drive through Austin, and on the way back up, I was just driving my friend's car, and someone, a green light going through a stoplight, and someone just like kind of T-boned us, just ticked us, so no one was hurt, but enough, you still have to pull over. It's about just being finished with a place and done just with a situation. And that one specifically is about just relating, a physical place to a person and not being able to separate the two.
Yeah, that's, like I said, I think a lot of people, they have that generally accessible idea of like, I've tried and tried and tried. And I've had such grace and patience with this place or time I'm at in my life. And it's like, I can't, you gotta set those boundaries, just like, it's like, I can't do it anymore.
Yeah, and for me, it was that was the same thing, kind of. It's funny that there is a lot of allegory with Austin or physical places in my songs, but because that whole mindset of that place, it was the same with the relationship, and you just like, you
Could see
go
a
through.
parallel.
It was a huge parallel for me of just like trying and trying and it just not working, and you just have to, at some point you just throw your hands up and you're just like,
Yeah.
I'm out of here. I'm done. I'm not coming back.
Well, speaking of I'm out of here, I guess I can cover your song
Yeah,
now. You want to get to it?
super stoked. Let's do it.
How's it going now? You stuck in the past, thinking about all we could have done. You still driving fast down that freeway like you used to do with me, yeah. You still got them diamond rings, and you dress a drawer when you're kissing him. Do you think of me? Does it kinda sting the way that it does me? Kinda sting. Well, I hope you find your Colorado sky in someone else. When you look into their eyes, we never did in mine. Hope you're doing fine in Austin. I'm in misery, thinking about all we lost, the years we'll never see. I bet in a century, somehow, some way, be a part of me. How you doing, love? 'Cause I'm still in the past, thinking about all we could have done. Really drives me mad, really makes me